I'm going to take 100 of the Black Friday ads that I saw this year and rank them in a tier list. I did this last year. You guys requested it again. And I also organized all the brands by industry this year, so you are welcome. Someone from this brand actually DM'd me and told me this ad crushed it. Oh, Obvi. Hexclad, Ridge Wallet. This was actually a competitor of mine, and I thought it was really well done. We have the exact same setup that we did last year. It's pretty self-explanatory, so let's get into it. The first one is going to be Obvi, and oh, Obvi. These are the 3 ads I selected for them, and when I actually saw this one, I was like, ugh, feels not super ethical, implying that you can lose 30 pounds in 90 days. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Fight me in the comments, actually, if you guys agree or don't agree. That one just kind of gave me a little bit of, ugh. But this one right here that they have, actually, I thought was really, really well done for them. And I know that this is a format that they've used quite a bit over the last few years. And I really liked how specific they were with the dates and times. And I know that I'm like kind of going back against my earlier statement, like 30 pounds in 90 days versus like 6 pounds in 2 weeks, Dara. Like, is that the same? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So Obvi, last year you were classic and uninspired, and that's where I'm going to put you right again this year. These weren't really specifically Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Some of the ads had dot wax on them to show your amazing offer. I think they were pretty classic, but yeah, that claim, I don't know. Next up, we have Happy Mammoth. Now, what's so funny is last year I showed this Happy Mammoth ad of the palettes, and I was like, this is never going to work. They told me a few weeks later on Twitter that it absolutely worked, which is actually why I was disappointed when I saw this year's palette ads. There was just something so off about the aspect ratio, right? Like, you really kind of had to zoom in, like they had the boxes in the back. This all just read like an AI mess to me, to be honest. And I tried to see if they had other ones, but they didn't have as many clear pictures as they did before. They also had a few ugly ads, a la Very Hot, and a few of their other ads that had performed well in the past. So this is going to be another one where actually I would say it depends. Now, I think the ugly ads definitely worked. The ones that just have the headline bar worked. But I actually really wonder if these palette ads are going to work again, because when I look at it, it actually just reads a little bit too messy to me. I can actually see why the other ones now in retrospect did work. Next up, Armra. This is a very easy, classic, and yet uninspired for me. I think this is just the creme de la creme of Black Friday, Cyber Monday offers. They played it really safe with a 25% off offer. And I was really surprised, actually. I didn't see as much influencer marketing out of them this Black Friday, Cyber Monday season. Oh, maybe it's 20% or 30%. Either way, whatever. Next up, we have Peak. I actually already did a video that was about the amazing strategy that Peak had leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Peak was actually doing a free gift offer every time you'd spend a certain amount, which I thought was so, so clever. So I'm actually going to say clever and converts probably for Peak. One thing I will say that I was a little disappointed about is I didn't actually see a big offer come from them. They were really, really leaning on that free gift with purchase. So I'm honestly so curious to hear if it really crushed it for them, because it kind of felt like they were holding back. Also, sorry guys, I have been sick all weekend, which is not the way to spend cyber season. Ugh. Yeah, and let me know in the comments how your guys' Black Friday went for your brands. Something that I noticed actually, and I posted this on Instagram stories too, so be sure to follow me there for more of my off-the-cuff ad reviews and POV. But essentially, the brand that I work with, since we had launched our offer earlier in November, we didn't really see that huge spike of sales on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Don't get me wrong, budgets were elevated, results were good, but it wasn't a banger by any means. And when I shared that on stories, a number of you DM'd me and said, wow, I am really seeing the exact same thing. Glossier, I was actually shocked that Glossier did this specific Notes app ad, because I feel like they don't generally jump on format trends specifically, right? I thought it was kind of cool that they did it, but it sort of feels like, doing something from 2022. So sorry, classic but uninspired. Curious to hear if that worked for them. And then next up, we have Ilia. Ilia, very easy, classic but uninspired. Now, I will say I also saw them run what I thought was really the format of the season, which was a text-only ad, which I thought was a very bold move for a beauty brand. But yeah, for, most of their stuff, classic but uninspired. Still a really good push. I'm sure they crushed it. Next up, Merit. Okay, Merit so confused me on this specific ad. And again, this is another one that I shared on Instagram stories. And a lot of you were like, yeah, the serif and sans serif font, it totally doesn't make sense. And I'm like, what is the value prop behind a tiny bag? Like, I get it. It's cute. So why don't you do something a la Kosas, which is just like, say it's a makeup bag or whatever. So I thought that was kind of it depends-ish territory. Ooh, and then Jones Road. Now, I was actually surprised to see Jones Road pivot in their strategy. In years past, they really concentrated on selling more of the minis and not doing a bigger offer. But it seems like this year they pivoted to doing more of a discount offer on kits, which is definitely something that I've seen other brands do. But I don't know, even as a user, just seeing like $19 off versus $25, I think $25 is okay, but seeing $19, I was like, I hate this one. They did do a lot of formats though. So I'm going to say, they did some clever things and it probably converted, but I hate that $19 off ad. More specifically though, I really did like that biggest sale of the year one. Sort of clever. Ooh, Sarah Creel. Sarah Creel is actually one of my favorite beauty brands that launched in 2024. I didn't love their Black Friday, Cyber Monday offer either, which I know that I got targeted the ads a few times, but they just really fell flat for me. So I'm going to say that for this one, even though I love the brand, it depends. Victoria Beckham actually used the exact same ads that they used last year that I reviewed last year. So I'm going to say that, classic but uninspired, but like why change something if it's still converting? Dr. Jart is so interesting because I actually converted from them from an ad that they had during Halloween. So I'm going to show this ad, right? They had an amazing offer, 50% off offer, but then their Black Friday Cyber Monday offer was not as good, which I found to be so interesting. I'm like, oh my God, did they just like absolutely crush it then during this Halloween offer that they had, which I literally spent $100. So I got like $200 worth of like their sheet masks, which I use all the time, especially when I'm filming. Well, this is one for me that I'm going to say, okay, fine, probably classic and uninspired. Like, I think that they probably crushed it so much during Halloween. They were like, yeah, we need to like pull back a little bit for actual Black Friday. Dermatology is actually going to be our first Ogilvy tier ad. And to be honest, it's mostly based on the offer. They had an offer that I was incredibly impressed by. Now, I will say, number one, I have been a customer of theirs in the past. They actually truly do have one of the best eye masks on the market. I need to do like a before and after for you guys sometimes. It's truly remarkable. It is one of the best. And I was really surprised to see that they were doing one of their best-selling products as a free gift with purchase, which I thought was actually so smart. So they had that on top of a, 30% off offer, which I think is really, really clever and well done. So Dermatology, you are first Ogilvy tier. Okay, Hero Cosmetics. Honestly, this reminds me of like exactly the Dr. Jart ads. It's totally fine. And something that I actually think is really smart that they do that I think all brands should consider is when you do have multiple SKUs, try fitting them all into one ad. So I know it's really popular to do the just offer or just offer with your best-selling products. Try also including all of your SKUs, because I do think that for some people, just that mass amount of products and recognition, there's something that's really eye-catching about it. So this one is going to be, for me personally, classic but uninspired, but I do think it was a very good attempt. One other thing about Dr. Jar, I was, however, so confused by this like slipper ad. Don't know. Kapari, I think, had a really solid offer this season, right? They had 30% off and a free gift set. I think anytime that you can combine a percentage off, no matter what, with a free gift with purchase when they hit a certain tier, I think is really, really smart. So I'm going to put that into clever and converts. probably. Divi, I'd say, played it pretty safe. They took a lot of their top performers that they had seen over the last few weeks and months and just simply slapped an offer on it. Now, I'm going to actually put this into depends section because I don't like that you have to enter in a discount code. And I also think that their discount code is like not the easiest to remember. When I looked at it, it actually read to me for some reason as like one of those randomly automated ones. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but for me, it depends. Crown Affair. Crown Affair is like the brand I have a crush on right now. I love Diana Cohen. I think she is amazing. I just think this brand is amazing. I actually converted my entire like hair care line into Crown Affair. Really cannot say enough amazing things about them and their brand. I thought the ads, however, were a little bit overdone. Totally fine. I actually did buy from them though, because, I'm going to be using their shampoo and conditioner anyways. So it's pretty much just like a restock for me. I will say, I noticed that they changed up the offer a little bit for Black Friday specifically, which as someone who had literally bought on Thanksgiving, that was a little bit annoying for me, but either way, totally fine. So I'm going to just put this one in classic but uninspired, even though I do think a little bit of it was a little overdone. Next up, Vegamore. They had a combination of some really classic statics, but what actually caught my eye from them were some of their UGC ads that they were running through Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And what I really liked that they did is they were essentially showing people using their product over a 90-day period in that before and after transformation, which honestly, I've worked with brands that needed a little bit of time to actually show those results, and it's really, really hard to do. So that effort alone reads Ogilvy tier to me, to be honest. So I'm going to put Vegamore into Ogilvy literally for those UGC 90-day trial ads, which I really, really wish more brands would do. Super helpful as a consumer, and they tend to perform really well, but they are a pain in the ass to get done. Just a fact. Next up, Pros. Now, what's interesting is Pros actually did a really similar thing to Jones Your Own Beauty, right? Where they were essentially showing their products in that grid and showing the original price and the discounted price, which honestly, I really like as a user. I also think that was really cool for them and kind of goes with their entire hair care image, is they were giving the free curler and like heatless wrap set, which I actually think is an amazing little bargain. I actually wish they would have highlighted that more. But based on that offer alone, to be honest, like that's Ogilvy tier for me. Like, I know I'm not like a Pros fan and I'm not, a customer, but if Crown Affair did something like that, like I'd have been talking about that offer. Billy is like a D2C brand that I don't even consider D2C anymore because they're in so many retailers. Or are they? Maybe that's Flamingo. I don't know. Their Black Friday offer and ads really annoyed me because they did not show the offer front and center. So I like saw a number of their ads and I was like, okay, so like, is it 5%? Is it 50? Like, I truly have no idea. So that one is honestly, I have questions for your team. And like, I love Billy. I'm a customer. But even as a customer, I saw one of those ads and I was just like, I'm just going to buy it from Amazon. Flouse. Okay. So Flouse, so funny. I feel like I must have clicked on one of their ads or something, but then I just got targeted by a ton of electric flosser companies. And like, I use a Waterpik, so I'm not going to be buying this. But the Flouse ad, I think it does a good job of like, sticking out with the bright colors. But what I will say that I saw all of the electric flossers doing is like, I don't know that it's an electric flosser right away. Floss is probably the one that does it the best because they actually say it somewhere, but it's kind of tiny. I would actually just try bringing that headline up and, really drilling in some language around that because it just was not immediately obvious to me. So for that one, I'm going to say it depends, but I really do think the design is cutie. The Essence Fall. Honestly, Ollie and team, I think you did a really good job with the different formats that you guys were doing. I really, really liked this from the founder note. This is definitely something that I saw a ton of brands doing, and a lot of them have, indicated that it's been working really, really well for them. So I'm going to put Essence Ball in Clever and Converts probably, candidly, just based on the amount of different content and formats that they were doing. Seemed really well done. Soft Services had a lot of info influencer ads out. And they did one of my most favorite kinds of influencer ads, which is just those UGC ads that have a little bit of text overlay. It feels like really organic storytelling, but it's nothing special, right? So it's going to be classic and uninspired. This is definitely a brand I considered buying, but it's like, am I going to really spend like $75 on bedside hand cream? Not today. Higher Dose actually had one of the most confusing ads for me this year. Higher Dose, up to $1,020 off, but it didn't show like the product specifically and it said site-wide. That honestly just like confused me. So like, I have questions for your team. Ripley Radler. Okay, this is the one I posted in my Instagram stories, and actually so many of you slid in my DMs and they were like, I hate it, I don't understand it. I actually had a conversation from my friends who teaches marketing in Chicago about this ad, and she's like, I don't get it. And I told her, I was like, actually, someone who does their growth reached out to me and told me that it crushed. And she was like, no way. So, yeah, this type of ad really does work. And I would actually say that looking forward till shipping cutoffs, right before Christmas time, this might be a really good ad type to either try if you haven't, or to tweak if you saw good performance out of this, to let people know, hey, this is when you can still buy before the shipping cutoffs. Because yeah, a lot of people are lazy and didn't, buy this Black Friday, Cyber Monday season. Candidly, for Black Friday, I just like buy for myself. And I will look at other offers and yada, yada. I tend to save like buying for my family and friends, like to the last minute. Eek. But yeah, for this one, I wouldn't have placed my money on it, but Clever and Converts, definitely. We've heard it here. Check. Intimacy. Now, Intimacy actually had what I would say was a really great pre-Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy. They were working with the top and most well-known and honestly most controversial influencers, especially in New York, leading up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which I thought was just so smart. And a lot of their content turned out really well. I think actually that strategy is something that we're going to see a lot more brands doing in coming years. So honestly, I'm gonna say it's an Ogilvy style strategy based on that. But I mean, like the actual ads themselves were, nah. So okay, fine. Yeah, that's too much. I will say Clever and Converts probably, because we don't know, but I do think their pre-Black Friday strategy was pretty stellar. Jenny Kane, I want to buy from you, but I just think you're too cool for me. So based on that alone, and the fact that the ads were okay, classic and uninspired. Cole Gaia had a great full sale, which all at once amused me and annoyed me. So I'm going to say it depends. But I liked the grid style ad. So funny, last year Skims was an Ogilvy tier based on a lot of their celebrity strategy and just how many drops they were having. They've slowed down this year. So I'm honestly gonna say classic and uninspired. They had a really classic, offer ad, and they also had a site-wide discount. So I don't know, wasn't impressed. Noosh, I think, actually kicked it up a notch this year. I bought from them last year. I did not buy from them this year again, but they had several different formats this year. And I also highlighted this specific ad on my Instagram stories, which I actually thought was pretty clever. So I'm going to put them into the Clever and Converts category. That's definitely a really good apparel brand for you guys to watch if you want to see cutting edge D2C strategies. Next up, Formy wants me to buy from them so bad. Literally every time I open up my Instagram, I'm getting an ad. You want to know why I don't? And it's so funny, actually. My mom hit me up and she's like, do you want this? I will buy it for you. I'm just not a brand fan. And I think it's because, number one, I know Taylor Swift has it. I don't care. But it just looks too scientific to me. I want it to be fun and cute and lifestyle-y, but it's not. I'm going to put them in Depends because I feel like they are kind of repelling people with honestly how clinical they're approaching their advertising. Next up, Aloe. Clearly, I am an Aloe fan. I actually thought their ads weren't that good this year. I showed them last year and I was like, yeah, they're probably Clever and Converts. I think that's what I did. And this year, I honestly think that they were I don't know. They just weren't as good. And it made me think ooh, is Aloe not doing as good? I will say I've had this sweatsuit before and I just remember it being a little bit more luxe before. I just don't know if they're doing well as a brand. I'm going to say it depends. Sorry. Mott & Bow is another one where the messaging was questionable for me. Anytime I see like offer starts at 20%, anything that's up to or starts at is so immediately questionable to me as a consumer that I would actually highly recommend brands to just say the offer, like the lowest tier offer, because I think that is actually going to work better in many cases. I was also incredibly annoyed by this one ad that gave a wall of text and then said 28% off, but you had to look in between all the words and find out that it was just for their loungewear, which like I don't even associate them with loungewear. To be honest, I have questions for your team, and I'm so sorry. I know sometimes we talk in the DMs. I'm actually a huge Mott & Bow like D2C like ads fan, but that one I was like, I don't get it. What happened? Maybe they weren't like allowed to do hot offers. I know this ad that they do like tends to work pretty well for them. I don't know. Oh, this is how you guys know that I like no one pays me for my opinions, because like sometimes I don't say nice things about my friends' brands. It's hard life. Next up, Cuts. Now, I will say they had this UGC ad with like a guy doing a green screen voiceover, which I thought was clever, but I just like really hated how the initial text came up, and I was like, how is anyone stopping to read this? Just like have it static, you know? But I really also liked their note from the founder. I actually think Steven a few years ago during Father's Day was the one to start this like founder's note style ad. I don't remember it taking off then, but it really has taken off now. So honestly, for that alone, I'm going to give Cuts clever and converts just because I think that was Steven. He had like the foresight of that. Ridge Wallet. Number one, love the fact that they use Marcus in some of their ads. Motion, you should have hit me up to do some Black Friday Cyber Monday ads for you. But I thought that it was really cool that they had a 40% off offer with some free gifts. I know I hate the up to language, whatever, but I thought the gifts were actually kind of cool. Like it looks like they have a duffel, they have a packing cube and a backpack. I will say, looking at this, looks like the fabric is kind of cheap, but honestly, I'm just brat about that kind of stuff. And I can see that they use some of their really well-performing ads that they've had over the last few years. So what I will say for Ridge Wallet is, honestly, it's clever and probably converts. Sean, I'm looking forward to hearing how it went. Heaven Mayhem. So Heaven Mayhem is a brand that I bought from recently. Actually, when I met corporate Natalie at an event that Meta hosted a few months ago, she was wearing Heaven Mayhem earrings. So I bought Heaven Mayhem earrings. And their ads were just like, you know, normal and good. They used their founder, who was also an influencer. So I'd say, you know, a lot of these were classic and uninspired, but that's definitely a good brand for you guys to watch, I'd say. And they weren't afraid of like doing like the 30+ discount. So, okay, Midori had two ads I thought were funny. One, sold out sucks, which, okay, I have questions, but I think I kind of get it, but also I have questions. I saw this ad, this video ad that they did. I just think anytime that you have to be like, hey, there's a minimum spend, and you don't actually say the minimum spend, it just like gives me the ick. So I'm going to give them an it depends, just because like truly it depends. Dog Night Dover, again, with the up to language, they always have really great photo shoots that they do, but I'm always questioned whether or not they need to do them. Also, 30% off kits, 30% off everything. Like, I'm just going to say classic but uninspired, which is like all that we really have to be to have a great Black Friday season, you know? Ooh, Pella. Pella did something I thought was incredibly clever. They ran a Labor Day sale, or an ad from their Labor Day sale. I actually really like doing that. I've seen some brands sometimes actually when they find a Black Friday ad that works and like they have sale periods throughout the year, they'll just like run the Black Friday ad like literally as is. And I really like that they ran the Labor Day sale. Watch, Matthew from Pella is going to look at this and he's going to be like, I did not mean to run that. So funny. I thought the offer was a little confusing. Buy one, get one free. We love buy two, get three free. Buy three, you get four free. Maybe I'm just a grump, but I did think that was a little confusing. But I thought the Labor Day sale thing was really clever. So I'm going to put them in clever and converts probably. Also, the founder did a really cool, but like lo-fi founder ad that honestly like pulled some emotions for me. So be sure to give that a watch too, but it wasn't really Black Friday related. Next up, Steamery. Steamery was creating some grid-esque style ads and they had a pretty decent offer. So for me, like honestly, classic and uninspired, but I'm sure that it did pretty well for them. Also, that reminds me, I need a steamer. So Cozy Earth actually was the first one of these founders ads that I had saw this season. So they started running this ad like actually early November. And I thought it was super, super clever. So because I would say that they were one of the first to do that, they're definitely more in the clever and converts probably. I have a feeling that this did really well for them just based on the other feedback I've gotten from brands that said that this really worked. Next up, Caraway. I don't know why this reads like a DPA ad to me. I like the grid style approach, but I don't know. I think too, since I got this one sent to me, I immediately was like, wow, $600 is like still a chunk. So I'm going to put this one, it depends. Hexclad. Hexclad had a ton of great formats going around. My favorite one that they did was actually what I'd say is like an iteration of the famous Adams We Aren't Cheap style of ad. And I'm really curious to see if it did well for them. I'm going to go ahead and put them in clever and converts probably though. Connor is really kicking it over there and the entire team. Well done. Tarot is actually another ad that I almost bought from, but no, it's pretty classic UGC stuff going on. I imagine it was super effective for them though. Okay, and we're not going to do Blue Land. Sorry, I can't find the ad. Whoops. And it was completely not memorable. So that's probably, fine. And last one is Magic Spoon. Now, last year, I put them in the It Depends category, or I have questions for your team because of their vertical text that they had. And when I actually saw one of these ads, I also had questions because it was more of a question to the user. Is Magic Spoon having the best Black Friday sale of the year? And I saw a number of these and I was like, give us the answer. Maybe it was in the text copy and I just didn't see it. And I did see a few of their other ads did have the up to 35% off, which, annoys me, but whatever. I'm going to say this one, classically, it depends. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this year's ranking tier list. Now, as always, I'm going to have the tier list available for you guys if you want to play along. And also, I have the board for you so you can take a look at all these amazing ads. I know this is going to be a great resource come next year when you're planning for Black Friday, Cyber Monday 2025. It already gives me the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, let me know how your Black Friday turned out in the comments. I'm sure you guys smashed it. I'll see you next week. Bye.